Alright, what's up everybody, and welcome back to the third and final video here for this profile screen, this music profile screen as they call it. We're going to continue down the page here and create a few more of these elements. There's not a whole lot more that I'm going to create. I want to show you just a couple things and then we are done. I'm going to go ahead and create just some simple text. I'm going to hit T for text on my keyboard and then I'll try to match up the coloring on these. Nothing too crazy here. So let's go ahead and speed it up. Alright, so now let's get to these buttons over here. I got the following button and the message button. I'm going to hit R for rectangle on my keyboard. Let's click and drag it out. Click about there, get the sizing right. So with that selected, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here. Okay, with this guy selected, I'm going to come over here to my radius, and I'm just going to click and drag this and move it all the way over to the right hand side. And that's going to give me this pill shape here. So now we've got a gradient, and the gradient goes from left to right. Obviously you've got a solid color of purple over here and a lighter version over here on the right hand side. So those are the reference points. Click gradient, move this over here, let's move this guy over there. Alright, with this right point selected, we want to select this over here, choose that color. And then I'll select my left reference point over here, get my eyedropper tool, select that. No problemo. I'm going to hit T for text and let's draw out, or write out some text here. This is all caps. Escape. Let's move this over here. We want some white text. Let's click and drag that to white and let's resize. Something like that. Shrink it down just a little bit more. Let's click off our color here. And this looks a little more bold. Right now we have a weight of medium. Let's maybe go demi bold, see what that looks like. And let's see what bold looks like. That looks a little too much. Let's go back to demi bold. There we go. Now the font might not match up exactly, but that's alright. Okay, so we want a little subtle shadow here as well. So I'm going to click my button. Come over here to shadows, I'm going to add that, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a purplish type shadow. It doesn't look gray, so let's go ahead and apply that. And I'm going to, I think, just keep the Y value here. Let's come over here to my colors. Let's select kind of a purplish color. That should be good. We want to increase the blur, and I'm thinking that we want to drop the alpha down because it's a little more subtle. So something like that there, so play around with it a bit. And I'm going to leave it at 28. And that looks pretty good. So with my shape selected, I'm going to go ahead and hold down Shift, select the text here, and in my layers panel you'll notice that now both are selected. I'm going to hit Command G to group those. Let's go ahead and call this BTN button and we'll say following. Now let's do one more button. Might as well use what we already created. So I'm going to hold down, or not hold down, let's hit Command D to duplicate this. Move it over here. And for this guy, I'm going to edit this and just use what we already have. So in the layers panel, let's come over here to the rectangle. I'm going to take off my shadow from the inspector. So let's uncheck that box, trash that. We want to select our background. We've already got it selected. We want a border. We don't want to fill. And we want to match this line here. So right now it's 1. It's a thickness of 2 now. 2 is going to be pretty good. And let's change that coloring to kind of a purple color. Get my eyedropper tool. Let's just select that there. Now that doesn't look too good. I'm going to click and drag this over. Maybe a little darker. Something like that. Alright, that should be good. Let's find our text. I'm going to come over here to the layers panel. Click on following. I'm going to double click this here, and what we want is message. Now we should, after I click off of this, we want this to be centered. So over here, let's click the alignment so that it's centered, and let's change the color to match the actual outside border. So I'm going to click that, get our color here, message, and we actually want this all caps. There we go. Let's get this centered. We do kind of want this to be the same. Now, for some reason, these aren't matching up, and I'm assuming it's because of the font family I'm using. It's a little bit different. I'm going to stretch out the character spacing on this a little bit. Something like that. Alright, let's come over here to the layers panel. Let's rename this button. Let's call it message. Alright, now we have our two buttons. Let's go ahead and put those in ours over here. Let's get these centered. And I think just to make it easier to center, let's go ahead and group these two. So I'm going to hit Command G. Call these buttons. Now I'm going to hold down Shift and get my main background selected. And let's align these. Center them. And then I'm just going to move these up a little bit. Let's click off. Right about there. Now there's not a whole lot of complexity left for the rest of this. These can just be rectangles, this could be lines that you draw across here. The text, it's no big deal. You've got more text here. Let's go ahead and dive into this little icon right here. Let's hold down Alt-Shift, click and drag one out. I'm going to get zoomed in here, and let's recreate this guy. So roughly about that size. Definitely a gradient applied here, and in terms of direction, I wouldn't say that it's straight up and down. It looks like it goes diagonally here from the upper left to the bottom right. So let's go ahead and recreate that. Click my color, click gradient. Let's change the reference point here. There we go. And with this bottom one selected, get my eyedropper tool and want to get that bottom right color right about there. We don't want to go too far outside. I'm talking way too fast. We don't want to go too far outside. I want to get that solid purplish color. Let's get this reference point selected. Get my eyedropper tool. Click this guy in the upper left. That's basically what we want. That's looking good. Now, let's hit L for line on our keyboard and draw out a line. Now, lines aren't always the best way to go. Sometimes it's better to go with a rectangle. Let's try with a line first. I'm going to increase the width over here. And what we want is a whitish color. And I think what I'm going to do is change this value over here in the inspector to a width of 2.5. See what that looks like. 3 was definitely too big. Let's try 2 again. So 2 is not too bad. And I want to use the same basic size. So I'm going to hit Command D on this. And I'm just going to rotate it. Let's come over here to the layers panel. Let's rotate this around. I want to say it's like 180. Let's go ahead and plug that in. There we go. Let's click off. And there is our button. Go ahead and group this plus icon. And in the layers panel, let's rename this plus icon. And now let's group the whole thing and make it one. So with both of these selected, I've got my plus icon, I've got my background selected. You know what, before I do that, let's apply this shadow to our main oval here. And our oval looks a little bit weird. It doesn't look as dark here, so let's try to address that real quick. So with this selected, I'm going to drag this down a little bit. Let's drag this up. With this point selected down here, I'm just going to lighten it up just a little bit. Click and drag this up a tiny bit. Let's get this guy selected and let's make it just a little bit darker. Something like that. And we're going to want to apply kind of a shadow glowing effect. Probably all the way around. It looks like it's kind of all the way around here. So one way we could go about that, I could apply a shadow, but that's really only going to give me a portion of it. So I think what I'm going to do is, so in the layers panel, I have this oval selected right now. And let's call this main oval. I'm going to hit Command D to duplicate that. Get this copy. And I'm going to hold down Alt-Shift and I just want it to be a little bit bigger. Let's go ahead and drag this main oval copy down behind. I'm going to apply a blur, so let's click the blur here. That's more like what we want. And I'm going to increase the blur. I think I want to shrink this down a little bit, so let's hold down Alt-Shift. Sometimes you're not sure how that's going to look until you start playing around with it. And I like the way that's looking. Let's go ahead and group the whole thing over here in the Layers panel. So I've got all three selected. I'm going to hit Command-G to group that. So you'll see as I move that around, it's definitely got a bit of a glow to it. So there we go. That's how to create that guy. Last but not least, I think I'm just going to show you how to create this rectangle here. So R for rectangle. Let's go ahead and draw one out about that size. And you're going to want to apply a radius to these corners, and the way that you'll do that is up here in radius. I'm just going to click this arrow here until that matches with what this radius looks like, and it looks like 11 is probably good. Could go to 10. Yeah, it's pretty close. And from there, you'll drop a picture right on top of that and mask it. Let's go ahead and do that real quick, just to show you what I mean. Let's go ahead and jump to Google. Let's go to Pixabay. Just grab something here. How about this guy? Copy image. Come back here. Shrink this down a bit. Let's say 50%. Alright, we're going to drag that right over the top here. That's fine. Our rectangle. And for some reason, over here in the Layers panel, both of those got swallowed up by our plus icon. Let's drag those up and out. Now let's mask. And there we go. You can put text right over the top of that, and you are good to go. I'm going to zoom out. See where we ended up here. Let's drag this guy over here. And let's bring our little plus icon over here too, so we have a full collection of everything. Alright you guys, I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you got a lot out of these videos. I love making them for you. If you are watching this on YouTube, you can go ahead and click the link in the description, and this will take you to my course on Udemy. Find lots of great stuff on the basics, on creating logos, on mobile app designs, elements, website design. There's some really cool challenges that you'll get to do in this course. I highly encourage you to take it if you're looking to sharpen your skills in Sketch. You'll get a lot of good information and a lot of good experience recreating all these things. But thanks again for following along. That's it for now, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.